Back, Laker Gang. Today we are going to be working on numerical patterns. So numerical just means having to do with numbers, and we know what patterns are. We're just working with number patterns, and specifically we are finding a relationship between two different number patterns. So if you'll remember from last time we worked with patterns, there were two terms that we need to know, and that is sequence and rule. And if you remember, sequence is just all of the numbers in the pattern. Rule is just what the pattern is, how it's increasing by. So if your sequence was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, your rule would be add 2 each time. So let's go ahead and check this problem out, and we'll just get started. It says on the first week of school, Joel purchased 2 movies and 6 songs from his favorite media website. If he purchases the same number of movies and songs each week, and that is your clue that we are going to be dealing with a sequence because it's the same number each week. How does the number of songs purchased compare to the number of movies purchased from one week to the next? Well, if we're going to compare the two, we should probably write out the sequence. We should probably see what they are first. So it says on the first week of school, he purchases 2 movies and 6 songs, and then it's the same time every week. So number of movies will go up by 2 each week. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Number of songs, it looks like, goes up by 6 each week. So 6, 12, 18, 24. And it says that in there. He got 2 movies and 6 songs, and he gets the same amount each week. So that's where we found that. Up next, we can take these numbers from the sequence, these terms from the sequence, and we can write them as number pairs. So week 1 is 2, 6 because it's 2 movies and 6 songs. So week 2 would just be 4, 12. Week 3 would be 6, 18. And week 4 would be 8, 24. Pretty simple stuff right there. So now that we have these number pairs written out, we can actually see how they relate to each other. So how does the first number relate to the second number? How do these numbers relate to each other? Remember, our first number is the number of movies. The second number is the number of songs. So 2 and 6, 4 and 12, 6 and 18. You should realize the pattern here is we are multiplying by 3. So your first number is songs. Or excuse me, your first number is movies. So movies times 3 equals song. And we can try that out. 2 movies times 3 equals 6 songs. 4 movies times 3 equals 12 songs. It checks out. So that works for our rule. But the way that we explain this, we have to be very careful. If we look at the top, it says, how does the number of songs purchased compare to the number of movies? So, let's see how the songs compare to the movies. Well, if you have to multiply movies times 3 to get song, you can do song divided by 3 equals movies. And if you wanted to get really crazy, we can say what we would have to multiply our songs by. So we'd change the sign, flip the second number. You could also say song times 1/3 equals movie. And if you see, all of these rules are the exact same thing. It's going to give you the same answer if you just plug in the number of movie into the movie spot and the number of songs into the song spot. So 3 times as great as the first number. All right. And you can use any of those for your rule. So I know the first time we do something can always seem a little confusing, but let's check out this next one. So when Alice completes each level in her favorite video game, she wins 3 extra lives and 6 gold coins. What rule can you write to relate the number of gold coins to the number of extra lives? So we have to write down a rule that relates the number of gold coins to the number of extra lives. And then it also says how many extra lives will she have after she completes 8 levels. So Luckily for us, they actually listed out the sequence for us already. So let's check out that first step. Let's find out what the rule is just for extra lives. Well, it looks like every time she goes up an extra life, level 0, she obviously has 0, level 1 is 3, level 2 is 6, 3 is 9. Looks like we are increasing by 3 each time. 3, 3, 3. That's a horrible 3. That looks like a staple on the second one. Goodness. So we're adding 3 every time. What about the rule for our gold coins? Well, 0, 6, 12, 18, 14, 24. We are going up by 6 each time. Not too tough to find that out. Now we move on to that next step. So now the next step is to make our number pairs, our ordered pairs, however you want to explain that. So level 1 is 6, 3. That's because we're listing the gold coins first. Why do we list the gold coins first? Well, it says, how do you relate the number of gold coins to the number of extra lives? So 6, 3 would be our first one. At level 2, it would be 12, 6. Level 3, 18, 9. And level 4, of course, is going to be 24, 12. So look at each of these numbers and try and figure out what is our pattern here. We're going from 6 to 3, from 18 to 9, from 12 to 6. And you should realize pretty quickly that it is dividing by 2. So coin divided by 2 equals lives. There's our rule. And just like last time, if we wanted to make it in multiplication, we could say coin, change your sign, flip your number, coin times 1/2 equals lives. Either way, it's the exact same. So let's use that rule to figure out how many extra lives she will have at level 8. Well, if she has 48 gold coins at level 8, we just need to plug that into our rule. 48 divided by 2 equals 24. So she'll have 24 extra lives. Alright, great job with that, gang. I'll do number 1 with you all, and then I will give you all 2 through 6 to figure out by yourselves. Then we'll kind of come back together and check. So number 1 is pretty simple, and they even gave us the sequence already. So number of coins, nickels, and dimes. So when you have 5 nickels, you're going to have 25 cents. And you can see that pattern, that rule for the first one is add 5 every time. The rule for the second one is add 10. So we add 10 to 40 and we get 50. So now we just need to figure out what are you doing to your nickels to get dimes. To get from 25 to 50, what do you have to do? And that's right, just like Blue's Clues, you probably blurted out the answer, and that is multiply by 2. So go through each of these other ones and figure out what your rule is going to be, as well as your missing numbers, those blanks. So figure that out. Go ahead and pause the video. Welcome back, gang. Let's see how you did. And by doing this, we can also kind of see how this is useful. So if you look at this, it says number of books. For number 2, number of books is 3 and the amount spent is $12. So if you know how much it's going to cost for 3 books, we figure out that rule, and that is multiply the number of books by 4. Then you could think of how many books you want to buy, multiply that by 4, and you'll already know your cost. Same thing with all of these other ones. It just helps you figure out information, hypothetical stuff that you want to know. So we should get 3, obviously dividing 360 by 3 will give us 120, multiplying the number of eggs by 6 to find the number of muffins. So 18 times 6 is 108. And then finally number 5 down there, number of meters. We see that we're dividing 1600 by 400 to get 4. So we will do that by 6400 to get 16. Number 6 is worded a little bit weird. So suppose the number of eggs used in exercise 4 is changed to 3 eggs for each 12 for each batch. So We can just do that. 3. Suppose the number of eggs is changed. So what is our new rule here? If it's 3 eggs to make 12 muffins, what are we having to multiply our eggs by to get the muffins? That's exactly right. That is going to be 4. So we just need to figure out how many muffins will be made if they use 48 eggs. So we'll use our new rule. 48 times 4, 2, 3, 19. A little Animal Crossing gibberish for you. 19. So 192. And it's a lot easier whenever they already give you each of the sequences to find out what that is. But we're going to go on to this next page where we're going to have to figure that stuff out on our own. So numbers 7 through 10. Number 7 says Emily has a road map with a key that shows every inch on the mile equals 5 miles of actual distance. So she will drive on 2 roads to get to the beach. One road is 7 inches long, the other road is 5 inches long. What is the actual distance she'll need to drive? So let's try and figure out what our rule is for this one first. Rule. It says that every inch on the map equals 5 miles. So 1 inch times 5 equals miles. That's our rule. So now let's see how many inches she drove. She said one road is 7 inches long, the other is 5. So let's just plug those into the rule. 7 times 5 and 5 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 5 times 5 is 25. So we're trying to find out her total distance, so we just add those together and we will get 70 miles. And your rule is just inch times 5, distance times 5. Pretty simple stuff. Now let's take a look at number 8. Number 8 is going to require us to actually make a little chart for ourselves, and it's not too bad. It says, to make a shade of lavender paint, John mixes 4 ounces of red tint, 28 ounces of blue tint, and 1 gallon of white paint. So, let's see what we've got here. We'll list it in order from least to greatest. So, we've got 1 gallon of white. We've got 4 of red and 28 of blue. So that's our first one. Let's see what we've got for the second time. It says 20 gallons of white. I'll just put a dub there. Yes, sir. And 80 red. So how much blue? So now we just need to see what our pattern is to get from red to blue. So what do you have to do to a 4 to get to a 28? That's right. You multiply by 7. So we'll just continue our pattern. We'll multiply 80 by 7 and we'll get 560 blue. Alright. So I'm going to set this next one up for you because it's worded a little bit trickily. And then I'm going to let you finish 9 and 10 by yourself. And of course, I will check it with you all. So number 9, in the cafeteria, tables are arranged into groups of 4, with each table seating 8 students. So how many students can sit at 10 groups of tables? So we really need to think about this. So if you have one group of tables, then you have 4 tables, and each table has 8 students. So we need to think how many students would be in one group. Well, if there's 4 tables and each table has 8 students, groups of 4 with each table sitting students, then we can figure out that one group is going to have 32. So your rule could be one group, or excuse me, times 32 equals students. Whee! So, go ahead and figure that out and pause it for me. Alright, welcome back. So we should have gotten 320 if your rule is one group times 32. Well, you've got 10 groups, so multiply that by 32 and you've got yourself 320 students. Yeehaw, party time. Down here, we see that on day 1 we have 4 runners and they go 12 miles. So we see that our pattern is to multiply by 3. So if you have 20 on day 5, then you multiply that by 3 and get 60. Thank you very much for working with me, everybody. I truly appreciate it. Here's your prize for waiting till the end of the video. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Have a great day, everybody. Keep on working hard. Thank you for all that you do. And of course, if you have any questions, throw a comment or shoot me an email. Have a good one.